The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. Viewers are invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
The aliens won't let it happen. You reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us.
And you know, there's a new name. It's unexplained aerial phenomenon.
Unexplained aerial phenomenon, really?
Yep, UAP. That's the latest nomenclature. But I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of that public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there.
What if there is something there?
Well, if there is something there, unless it's a, threat to national security, I think we ought to share it with the public.
I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children, wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
T-minus 15 seconds, standing by for terminal count. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Main engine ignition and liftoff of the Atlas V rocket with LRO Albatross, America's first step in a lasting return to the moon.
And so I'm here today to tell you that indeed, yes, we found water. And we didn't find just a little bit, we found a significant amount. If you remember, about a month ago, we were talking about teaspoons going to glasses over football fields. Well, now I can say today that in the 20 to 30 meter crater Albatross made, we found maybe about a dozen of these 2-gallon buckets worth of water. So this is initial results, it's preliminary. You're going to hear how we came to this conclusion today. I'm going to walk you through it. And it's probably a lower bound on the total amount of water we've seen here. And there's a whole lot more beyond the water. So that's the exciting part in my mind, is it's not only about the water now. There's actually a lot more here that we're going to be.
More and more people around the world are demanding UFO disclosure, and governments are responding.
Well, first I had people go look at the records on Area 51 to make sure there was no alien down there. There are no aliens there. So then when the Roswell thing came up, I knew we'd get, gazillions of letters. So I had all the Roswell papers reviewed.
The aliens won't let it happen. You reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us.
Now, there are a lot of people that are going to examine your facial expressions here, every twitch, everything, and say, and of course, so did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in, and he did check, and there was nothing.
Well, that's what we're instructed to say.
In fact, dozens of governments have already admitted to having departments in charge of UFO research and have released decades worth of declassified files. While these files do not contain strong evidence to support the existence of extraterrestrial beings, they do officially report objects traveling at high rates of speeds performing maneuvers that no known aircraft can perform. These well-documented encounters raise a number of important questions, and politicians are now beginning to promise us answers.
But I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of that public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there.
What if there is something there?
Well, if there is something there, unless it's a threat to national security, I think we ought to share it with the public.
It's a shame that mainstream media and Western governments have spread so much misinformation.
The usual stuff.
People trust them implicitly, making it easy for them to twist the truth for their own ends. So even if they do offer official remarks about UFOs, it's unlikely that they will be honest when doing so. If the war on terror and the war on drugs are any indication, we should be wary of anything they tell us about UFOs. But it should be clear to anyone who has researched this subject that powerful and influential people take it very seriously. Whatever information does get released will not be the whole of it.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
Weird as it gets.
A light appearing high in the Arctic sky, baffling those who saw it and exciting a lot of comment. Early yesterday morning, just before dawn, this appeared in the Norwegian sky.
Why do we always wait until the government or the media verifies something in order to believe it's true? Why do we assume that anyone without these official credentials is lying, or crazy, or both? If we simply did our own research, we could come to our own conclusions and we wouldn't be so easily fooled when these official sources lie to us. There is so much information out there and so much evidence to support not only the existence of UFOs but of extraterrestrials as well. We don't need the government to tell us what is already apparent. We just need to do independent research and think for ourselves. As you can see, this topic is now receiving a lot of mainstream media coverage, so much so that Hillary Clinton has promised she will try to achieve disclosure of American UFO files to the public.
But I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of that public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there.
What if there is something there?
Well, if there is something there, unless it's a threat to national security, I think we ought to share it with the public.
I do wonder if Hillary is using our interest in UFOs to gain more votes, but there is no way to know that for certain. Regardless of her intentions, we here at Collective Evolution believe that voting only offers the illusion of democracy. Theodore Roosevelt told us that presidents are selected, not elected, and he wasn't the only one to do so. The entire superdelegate process in itself completely undermines democracy, and it appears that Hillary's path to the presidency was carved out long before anybody even knew she would travel it. This is why it looks like UFO disclosure is on its way. So, ask yourself, why has it taken so long to accustom people to the fact that these objects are real, do exist, and have possibly existed well before the existence of modern-day humans? Former head of the CIA, Roscoe Hillenikotter, told the NY Times in 1960 that, behind the scenes, high-ranking Air Force officers are soberly concerned about UFOs. But through official secrecy and ridicule, many citizens are led to believe the unknown flying objects are nonsense. UFO doesn't necessarily mean extraterrestrial, but, as with all of the evidence that presented itself prior to the disclosure of their existence, we have similar evidence and a great deal of information to believe that the extraterrestrial hypothesis is a possible explanation for some of these UFOs. A few years ago, you were branded a conspiracy theorist for believing that UFOs are real. Today, more than half of the American population believes in their existence. And this was before dozens of governments decided to disclose their existence. A simple Google search of the latest polls will show you this statistic. Both NASA astronauts and high-ranking military personnel have told us that we are not alone, and that governments are aware of several different extraterrestrial races. It wasn't long ago when Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Defence Minister, stated that the government knows of at least 4.
That this industrial military complex had to have an enemy in order to justify such huge military expenditures when people are starving all over the world and dying from lack of medical care and so on. And he said first it will be the communists, and they had a good run at the communists. And then he said it will be the terrorists, and now they're having a good run at the terrorists. And then he said it will be the extraterrestrials, and now they're trying to get money to establish a base on the moon and do other things, which some of us feel is probably more military-oriented than it is scientifically oriented.
Or the Edgar Mitchell, the 6th man to walk on the moon, told us that he has been privileged enough to be in on the fact that we are not alone, and that they have been visiting us for years. There is a serious possibility that we are being visited and have been visited for many years by people from outer space, by other civilizations. Who they are, where they are from, and what they want should be the subject of rigorous scientific investigation and not be the subject of rubbishing by tabloid newspapers. Lord Admiral Hill Norton, former Chief of Defence Staff, 5-star Admiral of the Royal Navy, Chairman of the NATO Military Committee.
I think there is a cover-up.
5% remain totally unexplained.
And you're saying to 5% unexplained to the point where they are legitimately an unidentified flying object.
And we're talking about generals. We're talking about Air Force pilots. We're talking about governors of states that claim that, hey, this is beyond our understanding of the laws of physics. These are multiple sightings by multiple modes. In other words, pilots, eyewitnesses, radar, visual sightings. These are very hard to dismiss, the handful of sightings. One over Alaska, another over Belgium, another over Iran. The handful of things that still cannot be explained defy known laws of physics.
Houston, there's a light out there. Technically becomes an unidentified flying object.
They're here, they're parked on the side of the crater, they're watching us.
Who's built these structures? Where are they from? What do they want?
Is it a UFO? And he's smiling at me, and he crosses his arms and he says, I can't tell you that.
The aliens won't let it happen. You reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us.
It's true that many alien enthusiasts end up picking up strange signals and transmissions, but often, these end up having a more earthly origin, namely the US military. Back in the 70s and 80s, the government started receiving tips about strange sounds and sightings and realized that their secrets could easily be exposed. So the government started a program to lay a false breadcrumb trail. This way, they could lead people down the wrong path and stay apprised of what the conspiracy community was talking about. It can be easy to dismiss ufologists and conspiracy theorists. But the idea of a government taking advantage of its citizens' gullibility is unsettling, especially when you consider the potential impact on one's mental health. Isn't it hard to believe that as little as only 2 years ago, WikiLeaks released secret cables that actually disclosed information about ETs in our solar system and hardly anybody batted an eyelid? Of course, the reason nobody did batter an eyelid is due to the fact the media, like always, hushed things up. The important documents released a couple of years ago by WikiLeaks offered hints about aliens and extraterrestrial presence. Is it coincidental that recently, NASA, who have for a long time been accused of hiding alien life, have accepted that we are not alone in the universe, and if all goes as planned, we will definitely meet aliens in a decade or two?
Hello and welcome to NASA headquarters. I'm Ellen Stofan, NASA's chief scientist, and I'll be your moderator and facilitator for today's event, where you'll hear about a truly extraordinary topic, the search for life in the universe.
As former astronauts, John and I are often asked, have we seen or do we believe that there is life beyond Earth? And I can't speak for John. I'll let John speak for himself later on, but while I may not have actually encountered extraterrestrials, and I did not, as a matter of fact, although I looked all the time. I have always been inquisitive, and so I was looking really hard. I would venture to say, however, that most of my colleagues here today, as well as probably most of you in the audience, are probably convinced that it's highly improbable in the limitless vastness of the universe that we humans stand alone.
And welcome everyone to our session on the search for life in the universe. We are entering a new realm in our search to answer the question, are we alone? And today we're here to tell you a bit of a grand story.
I think there is a cover-up, or what the reasons may be for governments wishing to cover up the facts about UFOs.
WikiLeaks documents didn't sadly bring down any of the lying governments or agencies that have deceived us and have implicated in the cover-up, but it did tell us all one very important thing. Way before NASA breathed a word, that extraterrestrial life exists. NASA appear to be confused by many of the things they're seeing. They think they must have all the answers before releasing important data to the scientific community and the public. You could say that NASA really stands for never a straight answer. There is no easy way to put this. NASA has been hiding from the public clear and dramatic evidence of intelligent life in our universe. From all indications, the cover-up has been going on for decades. While researching this information, the one thing I didn't want to do is indict a whole agency and all the decent, honest men and women who work there. However, it is time to pull back the curtain on the wizard. NASA is lying to us.
Just 10 miles now, sir. It's coming down through 200,000 feet. 10 miles, 200,000 feet, thank you.
10 miles from vertical flight, and it's through 200,000 feet.
Copy.
Manager, MCC, we were able to identify a tumbling object
Copy.
Copy. And Mission Manager MTC, be advised, from our vantage point, we do not see a throat shoot. Negative throat.
Copy. Copy. Vertigo Mach, the track bears 2009 miles, sir. Thank you for Vertigo. Vertigo Mach, it looks like we have a no-shoot, sir. Vector 200, put it under those 8 miles, look for an impact.
DC, negative throat, negative shoot.
Copy, we see the visual.
Impact at 5855 past the altitude. Impacted vehicle on the surface.